It's this sort of common feeling that your life hasn't yet begun and that the reality you're in at the moment is some sort of prelude to an idyllic future.
I think what we're talking about here, this feeling that real life hasn't quite begun yet, is in some sense almost universal and very, very natural, because it's kind of it's a protective mechanism against like doing all the feeling and all the realizing that comes from being from seeing what it really is to be a human, sort of born on the river of time en route to death. It's terrifying, and I don't think anyone necessarily is sort of fully reconciled to it. So it's not that you can sort of snap your fingers and decide, okay, now I'm just going to show up for my life right now. It's more a question, in my experience anyway, of getting better and better at seeing what you're up to, seeing what's happening when you get really, really invested in some new like habit change project or some new goal setting technique or something. Not that any of these things are bad, but that if what you're doing is really investing in them because you're en route to the time when life's really going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a problem. There's a life cycle thing to this too, right? It's like it's a lot easier and more reasonable to think that most of life is coming later when you're 19, and kind of a little bit absurd. I can relate when you're in your 40s, right? It's like that's what midlife does to a lot of people. It's like, oh, hang on. At a certain point, I can't carry on claiming that real life is going to be.
Yeah, I mean,
in 5 to 10 years.
I'm in mid-August. I can't say that summer's not started yet.
Right.
One of the other things, for better or worse, that we're both familiar with is low mood.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that you do to pull yourself out of a funk, or how would you advise people to better deal with depression and anxiety or low mood?
I really think an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure with this. So I try to prophylactically have routines in place that seem to decrease the likelihood, including cold exposure, which for a long time was prescribed for melancholy, right? This is not new.
But like medieval times?
Like 100, 200 years ago. Like it was a prescription, cold baths for melancholy.